Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I welcome you all to the second part for the lecture number 11 for your course of routing and switching. My name is Engineer Jafar Ali. I am a instructor for this course. So this is the second part of the lecture number 11, and the topic of this part is basically known as the VLAN operation, that how you can operate this VLAN. So in the previous lecture we have discussed about the architecture of the VLAN, and let's talk about, we have also discussed about the types of the VLAN. So in this lecture now we are going towards the VLAN operation. So you know that when a device enters into a network, it's automatically assumes that the VLAN membership of the port is it also automatically assumes the VLAN membership of the port to which it is already attached. So the default VLAN for every port in the switch is normally VLAN 1, and it cannot be deleted. So this statement does not give the whole story, because you know that there might be a possibility that there is a chance that there are more than one VLANs, or there are 10 VLANs or 11 VLANs. You do not have any idea about the whole story or the whole scenario of the topology. So all other ports on the switch may be reassigned to that alternate VLANs. So how can you know about that? So there are some mechanism for by which you can actually know about the topology and the traffic, or the topology of the VLANs. So two switches can exchange traffic from one or more VLANs. Inter-switch links are configured as trunks, and these trunks are basically the phenomena which carries the frames of all subnet or one subnet to a switch. And these trunks basically carry the frames from all or a specific subnet of a switch VLAN, and each frame carries a tag, and this tag basically is known as an identifier, and this identifies that which VLAN this frame belongs to. So each frame has a tag, and that that tag shows the identity of the VLAN. So in this example, or in this diagram, you can see that there is no VLAN tagging. There is no tag on a VLAN that which packet belongs to which VLAN. And these are the switches, switch A and switch B, and these switches are basically connecting this VLAN 1, this to this VLAN 1, and this VLAN is basically connected to this V1 using this switch A. Similarly, this VLAN 2 is connected to this VLAN 2 using switch A, and this VLAN 2 is basically further connected to this VLAN 2 using switch B. But now if you want to make them a trunk, you can see that you have combined this shared path, and this basically is known as a trunk, and this trunk is basically carrying the information of both the VLAN 1 and the VLAN 2. But how these switches will differentiate that information and frames, and by this is there comes a phenomenon of the tagging. So this frames of each VLANs will be tagged, and by the using of that tags, this switch A and switch B will be identify that which packets belong to which VLAN. VLAN tagging is used when a single link needs to carry traffic for more than one VLAN. You see that this green is basically highlighted for the VLAN Y, and this orange is basically representing the frames for the VLAN X. So this VLAN X will, let's suppose, transmit something in this trunk port, and this VLAN Y will transmit the same transmit some different packets frames using the same trunk port. So these trunk port is the same, and these trunk port basically have all the frames, and these will be tags given to this. And this trunk, the IEEE standard for that trunk can be anyone. Normally it is mentioned as 802.1.q trunk, and this is basically known as the VLAN tagging. This is the tagging purposes phenomena, and this is the trunking phenomena. This is the trunking phenomena, and this is the tagging phenomena, you can see here. And on the reception of these packets or frames, This switch at this end will know that which frame belong to which VLAN, and it will make that delivery on the specific VLAN based upon the tagging. I've told you the IEEE standard of this tagging. This is basically known as 822.1q, and this is the IEEE standard that carries that defines the how the internet frames should be tagged when moving across switch trunks. And this means that switches from different vendors are able to now exchange the VLAN traffic. So different vendors, so switches from different vendors can be used when you are using more than one VLANs and you are making them trunking and tagging. So this is the frame structure for the IEEE standard of 822.1q. The tag fragment stands for, you can see that there are two major fields, two TPI and this to tag, and this to tag is basically showing the 12 bits of VLAN to identity 4096 possibility of VLAN. So you can have, if you have 12 bits, you can have 4096 possibility of VLAN. So you can connect, basically you can make 4096 possible combinations of these VLANs, and these 3 bits are basically allocated for the user priority, that this packet has how much priority, and this is CFI, this is some kind of flag. So what is tagged and what is untagged? Edge ports are not tagged, they are just members of VLAN. You only need to tag frames into a switch to switch links. You do not have to tag the frames within a same VLAN. If you are transporting your message or your frames across your another VLAN through a switch, for that reason only you can use the trunk purposes and tag purposes. A trunk can transport both tagged and untagged VLANs. So as long as the two switches agree on a same mechanism on how the things can handle, you do not have the need of the tagging. Tagging only comes into play when you are working to transport the packets or the frames across the VLANs, and there are different routers, different vendors or different switches of different vendors are involved in it. And if these switches are also agreed on some kind of protocols, even then you do not have to need the use of this tagging purposes, tagging for phenomena. You know that this VLAN basically increases the complexity level. You can no longer just replace a switch. Now you have to configure this VLAN to maintain your whole network, this local area network. And for this you have to have some kind of field technicians, and that field technicians need to be more skillful. You have to make sure that all the switches to the switch trunks are carrying all the necessary VLANs. No VLAN should be left alone, and there is also a need to keep in mind that when adding when to add and remove a particular VLAN. For example, if a VLAN is, for let's say a floor is out of order, or if a floor of an office has gone on a holiday or a picnic, etc., you need to have that in mind that now you have to remove that from the VLAN, because you know that the floor is out of order, or the staff of that floor has gone to a picnic for, let's say, 3 days or 5 days. So there will be no needing for that VLANs actually. So you need to have keep updating your network with the passage of time, and for that you need to have some good skill workforce. Now let's talk about some of the good reasons for which we actually use the VLANs. So the first of all is that segmentation. We always want to segment our network into multiple subnets, but we cannot buy enough switches because you know that switches are expensive. They are Why do we want to do this segmentation? The main purpose is to hide the information, the sensitive infrastructure like IP phones or the building controls, etc. We need to hide that information as well. And we also want to provide separate control traffic from each user to maintain the traffic and to manage more accurately. And we want to make sure that the management is going on really well, and for that reason we have to restrict some of the users from giving access to all of the users. So these are some good reasons for which we actually use the VLANs. Let's talk about another bad reasons to use VLAN. I'm not saying that you do not want to use VLAN. There are some good reasons to use VLAN, and there are also some bad reasons to use VLANs. The second reason, for the first reason for which mostly people use VLAN, because you can hide your data, you feel cool regarding that, and also you feel completely secure when you are doing your own stuff and your own management as well, instead of depending upon any other main body or main hub, centralized hub. You are doing your own management, and you also because they allow you to extend the same IP network over a multiple separate buildings. So you can have same IP address over multiple separate floors, separate buildings, separate offices, etc. So you can have your own management skills for there. But this is highly recommended that you do not build the VLAN spaghetti. This is the very common phrase that do not make a spaghetti from out of this VLANs. Do not make your structure so much complex, because in the later part you will be unable to maintain or troubleshoot the this spaghetti. So these are some bad ideas, and the maintenance and troubleshooting is basically a nightmare for a network administrator. Because you know that this broadcast traffic is the actual workload or the load on which on this network part. So maintaining and troubleshooting is a lot of difficult part to handle this. Now let's talk about the thing that I've promised to you, that I will teach you how to configure the static VLAN. So the first thing of static VLAN is basically you know that the VLAN 1 is the default factory default VLANs. It is also given by the vendor as well. If it is not given by the vendor, it is also basically set it as default parameters in the switches. So the first thing for configuration of this VLAN is basically in the switch configuration. You has to configure this, turn on this configuration, and after you have gone into the configuration of the switch, you have to interface VLAN and the number of the VLAN, that which VLAN you want to interface with. After that, you have to provide the IP address, that the subnet mask, etc. This is the host ID and this is the user ID. You have to provide the IP address of that interface. This is very much necessary before configuring into the actual user. You want to have this IP address of that user. So the first thing is of the creation of, let's talk about the creation of VLAN. So in the switches part, you have to first create, you are going to have a class of the VLAN database, and in that VLAN database, if you are going into that directory, you have to create a VLAN number. After that, the VLAN number is created, you can basically take the exit. This is now the VLAN has been created with a VLAN, let's say, number of 10. Now the second thing is to assign the ports to that VLAN, and this is done in the configuration mode. So the first thing that you want to do is you have to go to the configuration mode by using this command. By using this command, you can go into the configuration mode, and in that configuration mode you have to interface your link and your port number 09. So you have basically configured the ports. And other than that, you can also use this command. You have to use this command, switch port access VLAN. It means that your VLAN should have access to this port as well, VLAN 10. So this is your, let's say, inbound command. Access means, access denotes that this port is as an access port, and it is not a trunk port. So you see that after the configuration of this use of this file, if you use this command, show VLAN switch, so it will display all the VLANs, their names, their status, and their ports to which they are configured. Also, they will show different topologies that they are connected with, and they will show their status, that if they are active or not. This is the same thing. This is the verification, and if you type this basically will show you. If you do not type this brief, actually this is the a small difference. If you type in brief or with that, there will be not much of description. There will be a brief description of this VLAN actually, and if you do not type this brief, you will be having this information as well: VLAN type, SID, maximum transfer unit, parent, ring number, bridge number, STP, bridge mode, transmission 1, transmission 2, and so much information. If you want to neglect these information, you can just type brief. Now let's talk about some of the commands to maintain the database of the VLANs. So the optional command to add, delete, modify VLANs, VLAN name, numbers, or VTP, that is VLAN trunking protocol information, can be entered, which may affect other switches besides this one, and this was not the part of that module, but to make it quite interesting topic, I will just give you a brief overview. This does not assign any VLANs to the interface, and these are the commands. The switch VLAN database, it will be giving you the database information, and by this information you can basically abort, apply, exit, no, reset, show, and VLAN. In the VLAN you can basically add, delete, modify values associated to any single VLAN. So you have to do it manually one by one. And in the last, this is VTP. VTP is basically a VLAN trunking protocol. You can also perform some VTP administrative functions on that as well. So these are some commands that are used on the VLAN database. Let's talk about a bit of trunking. So to configure this trunking in 802.1q at a switches router, you first have to determine which ports on the switches will be used to connect these switches together. So the first of all, the tunnel is made, and this tunnel is basically have this. This is a global configuration mode. You have to go into the global configuration mode. You have to enter the following commands on both of the switches. If you want to make this, you can see that we are basically trunking this let's say this is switch 1 and this is switch 2 and this is switch 3 and this is switch 4. So you have to apply the configuration on both this switch 1 as well as on the switch 2, because you see that only trunking is applicable on this side from this to this. So this is the global configuration mode, and this place you have to type the configurations and you have to make the interface and interface number. Similarly, on the second hand side you also have to do the same thing, and you have to also allocate a trunk encapsulation dot this IQ. This dot IQ is the same this dot IQ. This is just a syntax. You just have to allocate a switch port number. Let's say this is the information about how you delete a port on a VLAN membership. If you want to delete a specific port, you can also do that as well using these commands. And in the last you can see that how you can delete a complete VLAN database. So you have to first go into the VLAN database, and then you have to type no VLAN and the VLAN number that you want to delete. Let's say you want to delete VLAN 10, so you have to write VLAN 10. So by this command this VLAN 10 will be deleted, and after that you can have you can take the exit. So this was all about the configuration and the implementation and different verification of this all the activities that are associated with this VLAN configuration and activation and deactivation, deletion, upgradation, trunking and tagging, etc. This basically also provides you the information of the frame structure of the frames actually, and also about the operation of the VLANs. So I hope you have learned quite a lot in this lecture as well. Do not forget to write any questions that you face or any confusions with you on a white paper, so that you can ask it in the class as well. I'll see you in the class. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.